Hi, welcome back to Carolyn Getting Fit. I'm Carolyn, and here we are talking about how I have now reached 500 days alcohol-free. I honestly don't know where to start with this story, but so I guess the best place is the beginning. Started drinking at 21, couple parties underage, but really when I was 21, that's when I started drinking. And it went pretty okay for a while there. Like, go out with my friends, sometimes after work, sometimes at home, but I went through a long period of time where I didn't drink daily. 2-3 times a week, maybe. I want to say if we want to like give like a hard date, I'd say from like 2011 was when I started, like the first time I had like a 6-pack of beer, and I could pretty regularly drink a 6-pack. But it wasn't every night, but that's the baseline of overconsumption that I had. And I was basically every day for a while. I don't know when it started, because like when I was away at school, couldn't always afford it, because I went away to college in New York for 3 semesters to finish my bachelor's degree. Really fell into a bad place when my dad died in 2017. But I cleaned that up pretty quickly, and I went a couple of months without drinking in 2017 specifically because I developed ulcerative colitis. I moved to Budapest because I thought I was getting my master's degree there, and I got really sick. This was about just less than 2 months after my dad died. And I had to move back home because I was really sick, and it wasn't something that I felt that I could get treatment for. I didn't know what it was at that time. I just knew I was really sick, and I didn't want to start school right then when I was really sick. So I pulled out of the program, came home, and when I was home, I went to urgent care that night, was admitted, and I was there for 11 days before I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And I talked about that in a previous story, or previous video that I posted a couple years ago. But I stopped drinking for a while there, and I was actually really good at moderating it from about 2017 to about 2020. I went away to school in the Czech Republic for my master's degree. Drinking culture in Europe is a little bit different than the United States, but not by much. And when I lived in Lithuania for a semester of getting my master's degree, their alcohol regulation, you couldn't buy alcohol between 10 a.m. or before 10 a.m. or after 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and Sundays it was 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. But bars and restaurants, you could still get alcohol from when they were open. I don't know exactly what the serving hours were, but it was different than take home. Really, the wagon falling off parts came in 2021, 2022. Something just broke inside of me. I don't know another way to say it, because I don't know exactly what it was, but I do know that that was about when I changed. And drinking became an escape, and I was stuck in that hole for a really long time. Like 2023, I think that's when I like really realized that I had a problem. I needed help. This wasn't going to go away on its own. And December 2022 that happened. 2023, I was still drinking too much, and it led to a lot of problems that I talked about in the last video of my health stuff. But I really didn't think that I had a problem. It wasn't showing up in my labs for a long time. I knew I was over drinking, but it wasn't a problem because I could stop at any time, but I don't want to stop. I can stop anytime I want to. I just don't want to. basic things that everybody says when they go through this stuff. And as I was going through a bunch of health issues and I was getting pre-surgery work done, that's when the lab started to look a little weird, and liver function specifically was showing up in my labs as not being pristine like it had been before, and I got scared. That's kind of what shook the daylight out of me, or whatever the phrase would be, but when I was going through stuff to get my gallbladder surgery, I had an ultrasound of my gallbladder, and I spoke with the surgeon after the ultrasound and my lab work was done, and he was just like, well, your liver's a little enlarged, but we don't know why. You say you don't drink. And he's read right through it. That's what doctors do. And I did admit that I had been struggling, but I was, at that point, that was enough to scare me of like, okay, you have to get this under control now. And that was sometime in January of 2024. And the last time that I drank was that Super Bowl. And when my surgery was canceled days before it was supposed to happen, my first thought was, I need to drink about this. And I know that's not a healthy thought process to have. I know these things aren't good. I didn't. It's the important part. And I didn't even realize that I was like coming up on a month at that point. Surgery was canceled. I was then later hospitalized for the chest abscess that I had and developing septic shock. And on that road to recovery, it took me until about June of last year when I realized I had not been drinking for 4 months. And I'd been holding pretty strong in that, and I finally didn't want it anymore, and I wasn't craving it. And I think I've done pretty well in keeping with that, because then after that, it was like I had all of this steam. And then I finally hit a year alcohol-free. And if somehow you've come here from the Screen Junkies Honest Trailers for Captain America Brave New World, yes, I did ask the Epic Voice Guy to say that. I had watched the Honest trailer for Mystery Men, and it was a few days before that trailer was posted too. I was just like, oh, let me just leave this comment. I thought it would never be gotten to, or if it was, it would be weeks or months later. I did not think it would be that next video. So just, little shout out to myself. And now I've made it 500 days. We are currently at June 21st. I don't know if you can see that. My cats are running around, but yeah, June 21st. So it's been a year, 4 months, and 17 days at this point. But I thought about filming this before I hit 500 days. But I just didn't want to leave anything to chance. So I made sure that it's after I hit 500 days. I've been here. I'm still here. Ordered a big box of vegan donuts to celebrate. This isn't a mukbang though, so I'm not going to eat all of them. They've already been eaten anyway. But my brother helped, thankfully. But it took me a long time to struggle with addiction and to admit that I had a problem, because you don't want to. And I saw myself doing the things that addicts do. I was sneaking out to get more alcohol, lying about how much I was drinking. I was hiding the evidence of how much I drank. And there was a period there where I was getting blackout drunk at least 3 times a week. It's really bad. I went through a really dark phase. My cat's adjusting herself on the table right now. That's why it's a little shaky. But I finally have gotten to the point where I feel really lucky that all I did was embarrass myself. I know the ways in which addiction destroys people's lives. I've seen it. And I couldn't stop myself from going down that path. But I'm really lucky that all I did was embarrass myself. Some not nice emails. You usually kept it pretty professional, but the language wasn't always nice. But I didn't curse. Usually. I tried not to. So that's, yeah, I'm lucky in that aspect. And in other ones, it's moving forward from this and having those things that I did, like, there's apologies that I need to give to people. But they may not want to hear them, and they don't owe me their time, their energy, their space, their ears. So there's apologies that I really want to make, but I may never get the chance. They may never be welcomed. And as I've spent this past year healing from what I went through with everything health-wise, and then trying to heal mentally too, coming to the realization that I have to forgive myself, because I may never get their forgiveness. They don't owe it to me. It's fine. But I can't wallow around in that shame and misery forever. Nobody wants that either. And if the best apology is changed behavior, that's something I'm doing and I'm trying to do. And one of the biggest things that I realized was I was caught in this really nasty cycle of, I'm unhappy, so I drink. Now I'm unhappy because I'm drinking. So tomorrow I'm not going to drink, but there's always a reason why that can't start today. That's got to start tomorrow. And then it can't start today. It's got to start tomorrow. It's got to start tomorrow. And just, I realized that I was unhappy. My life was going nowhere, and I was the one in control of all of it, and I was standing in my own way. And that's probably been the hardest thing to reconcile with, is how much I have been my own worst enemy. And now trying to grow and change, acknowledge that that is who I was. One of the things that I hate more than anything is when people say, I'm sorry I did that, that wasn't me. Because yes, it was. That may not be who you want to be, but at that moment, that was who you are. That is who you were. So that is who I was. I have to live by that now. But that's not the person I want to be. And it's okay that some people will only ever know me as that one person. That was the only side of me they knew. And I can't hold it against them if that's what they choose as the gospel truth. All I can do is just try to move forward, live my life the best way I possibly can. And if they're ever ready to hear it, I am sorry. And these are like, I know and these are only the things that I'm aware of that I'm ready to apologize for. I am also open to hearing what I've done wrong and apologizing for that too. And I may never get the chance. And while I have to live with that, beating myself up, kicking myself when I'm down, that's gonna lead me back into the cycle. So it's just, that is who I was. I'm trying to become somebody better. I'm trying to become somebody different. I'm dedicating a lot of time to being a more kind, patient, understanding person. And I'm finally starting to get there and become the best version of myself. And I'm unhappy that it took this, that it took this much time for me to get how I want to be. And it took how long it took. And again, I'm lucky that I'm only embarrassed by it, and I only spent a couple of years really bad. I still have tons of my life left, both before that and after that. I can learn and grow from, and just trying to be the best version of myself, knowing that at one point in time, I definitely was not. And I don't miss it at all. The closest thing I had to a misstep recently was I was visiting my best friend up in San Jose, and at her house, her sister was like, "Oh, can I get you something to drink?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take one of these." And I grabbed a Mike's Hard Lemonade. I stared at it for a good 3 seconds longer than I needed to, and put it back and realized I'm not ready to make jokes like that about my own sobriety. So I'm not gonna do that anymore. And I'm realizing how important this is to me. And it isn't a joke, because I didn't like making that little joke. And I don't feel as tempted as I thought I would. I really, for a while there, I didn't think I was strong enough to go without alcohol. I thought I needed it to be funny, interesting, entertaining, any of that. I still thought that even when I was getting drunk by myself and crying all the time. So that's how you know. You boys. I took in a litter of kittens and their brothers, and they love to be mean to each other. And I don't know why they're doing this right now, but that's what's happening. Completely forgot where I was and what I was talking about, but I'm too far in. So, gonna wrap it up. Really, because I probably will come back and talk about this at other points, but I have finally made it to 500 days. I'm really close. I'm almost to a year and a half now. I'm proud of myself for what I've gone through and for what I've committed to. And my bank account is so much happier about what I'm doing right now. So for that, I'm pretty pleased. But this has been kind of truncated. But I did it. I'm here. And the road since recovering, I guess the best part for me, I don't know if I could have done this without having a major health event in the middle, but it's obviously when I'm in a nursing home, unable to get up, I could not stand. I could barely pull myself into a sitting position. No one's going to be bringing me alcohol in a situation like that, and I definitely can't go get my own. I just realized now maybe I could have DoorDashed, but I didn't need to realize that then, and it wasn't on my mind, and I'm sure they would have intervened in some ways. But I'm proud of the resilience that I've shown through it, and that as I've felt better, felt stronger, even went on vacation, went down to San Diego for a weekend, and the hotel we were staying at was really nice. And when I got to the bar, we were sitting at the bar waiting for a table to be ready, and I told the bartender that I was just over a year alcohol free. This one thing looked really good. How could he do it as a mocktail? Is that possible? And he did. It was like a coconut rum thing, but he managed to make it and it was, I didn't miss the alcohol from it. And I wasn't sure how a bartender would respond to I'm not drinking or I don't drink, and just immediately working with me with the mocktails. So if you are struggling and you have any fears about that, the bartender's not going to judge you, in my experience, from asking for something non-alcoholic. It costs a little less, but for you, but it probably takes them the same amount of time, maybe a little less. I'm not sure. I'm not a bartender, technically speaking. I'm a barista, which is kind of the same thing, but still, points being, sobriety is possible, and I know a lot of people say this, if I can do it, you can, but I really want to let you know, if I can do it, I promise you can give it a try. It took me several tries as well. There were so many times, I have a video posted a couple years ago from where I went a week without drinking alcohol. Like, I tried so hard, so many times, fell off the wagon, but when I wanted to, when I needed to, when it mattered, I stuck with it. And the thing is, you're gonna need to, and it's gonna matter the whole time. So you just need to want to, and you can do it. I'm rooting for you. If you're struggling with your sobriety, know that I am in your corner, and I believe in you. Alcohol is the beast that I know. That's the demon that's haunted my doorstep. Help is out there. So I wish you luck. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is. But it is possible to be alcohol-free and happy too. And I'm giving it a try, and it's working out pretty well. And if you need help, I really hope you're able to find it and that you can give this a try too. So, not very much this time, but we got this. We got this. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye, YouTube.